Why is the unemployment rate in China rising? For several months, the unemployment rate for young people in metropolitan areas has been rising. This is a result of various things, such as a disconnect between the employment that is currently accessible and what graduates were taught to do. After the zero-COVID limitations were lifted, China's economy saw a boom, but youth unemployment has remained persistently high. According to research, a mismatch between the roles that are available and the jobs that young people are preparing for is likely a contributing factor. Although China's urban unemployment rate is decreasing overall, the 16 to 24 age group defies the general trend. It climbed to 20.4% in April, almost doubling the age group's pre-pandemic level of 10% in that month. Because they have less work experience, young people are often more vulnerable during economic downturns, according to a paper by the team co-authored by economist Maggie Wei. The pandemic, which was hard on service businesses that frequently hire more young workers, may have exacerbated that susceptibility. In the first quarter of this year, the output gap, the difference between what an economy is producing and what it is capable of producing, in the services sector significantly shrank. However, the resulting rise in demand for workers probably won't be sufficient to counteract an impending wave of graduates. The excessively high percentage of unemployment is likely also caused by mismatches between the skills graduates obtain through higher education and those needed by businesses. In other industries, this imbalance is very severe. For instance, despite a material decline in employment demand among educational institutions during the same period, the number of graduates in the education and sports disciplines increased by more than 20% in 2021 compared to 2018. Our economists believe that recent regulatory changes affecting the real estate, education, and information technology industries may also have reduced the need for workers in those industries. Given the significance of the young market to China's economy, the stakes are enormous for redressing these inequities. This generation spends a lot on things like communication, transportation, rent, culture, and education. To encourage college graduates to find work, the government has taken action. For instance, the Chinese military recently prioritized hiring college graduates, and over the next 2 years, 1 million internship opportunities will be created by the nation's state-owned businesses. Even so, skill imbalances can only be resolved through time. Addressing the misalignment between school disciplines and business demand would help, but this is a difficult and medium-term task and is unlikely to yield significant improvement in the short run. Our economists conclude. It's true that the lockdowns imposed by the government's zero-COVID policy were considerably harsher and more costly to the economy than containment measures used by other nations, and they were frequently in place for longer than a year. The fact that China's economic recovery is behind others is therefore not surprising. In contrast, the U.S. youth unemployment rate peaked at 14.85% in 2020 before falling to 9.57% in 2021. Although the majority of China's pandemic-related employment barriers have been removed, the basic circumstances for lowering China's youth unemployment are not getting any better. Even if the post-epidemic unemployment rate is eventually lower than it is right now, it is still likely to be greater than it was in the years prior to the pandemic. When you ask young people about the employment market in China, they frequently respond that it is harder this year. According to interviews with 6 students and recent graduates conducted by CNBC, the majority of people eventually find employment. But it may not be in the field they studied or at a position that pays the highest. Many ask to remain anonymous since it may be a touchy subject in China, especially for individuals who are actively looking for work or are just beginning their careers. One student from a prestigious university told CNBC that his peers are sending out at least 100 resumes, if not more, because the job market can be so competitive. In June, the jobless rate for Chinese youth aged 16 to 24 reached a new high of 21.3%. According to Zhang Qingyang, director of a research center for new employment forms at the Capital University of Economics and Business in Beijing. The main cause of the high youth unemployment rate is a lack of business demand. Businesses are afraid to hire young people because they are uncertain about the future, even though they normally need training regardless of the educational system, according to Zhang. Over the past 3 years, youth unemployment has been consistently high, although the general unemployment rate for city dwellers has officially remained much lower, at around 5%. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate for Americans between the ages of 16 and 24 peaked in April 2020 at 27.4%, before dropping to just under 7% this year. One class of 2023 graduates in China said that their generation was passed over for job openings because major internet companies were only interested in hiring current students, not recent graduates, for internships that would lead to full-time employment. She countered that the pandemic was still going strong when she was a student and that she was unaware of these opportunities. The pandemic-related economic recovery in China has stalled recently. Exports have steadily decreased. The enormous real estate market has not yet recovered. A monthly poll of primarily privately held companies conducted by graduates of Beijing's Cheung Kong Graduate School of Business reveals a decline in hiring intentions. The CKGSB recruiting index continued to decline, dropping from 64.6 in April to 54.2 in June. The need for personnel in the service sector has somewhat increased, according to a comparable business survey conducted by Cakeson in May. But recruiting forecasts for manufacturers reached their lowest level since February 2020. The job market is becoming more competitive, even in semiconductors, a well-known and government-supported industry. According to Zimri Sun, who is beginning his job search this summer in preparation for graduating from his master's program next year, the industry is in a moment of stabilizing after the hot period of expansion has passed. According to a CNBC translation of his Mandarin language comments, that is the case. At Shanghai Jiao Tong University, Sun is majoring in information and communication engineering. Despite knowing it will be difficult, he said he is optimistic he will find employment. Many of the occupations that were once in demand among young people in China have been destroyed in several industries as a result of the pandemic and regulatory reforms. Yet the number of graduates each year has increased to all-time highs. Official predictions for the class of 2023 show that there will be close to 11.6 million students. There are many prospects for growth and further employment. That's all for today. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, express your valuable thoughts in the comment section below. Until then, bye. Also, spend some time watching other videos on the channel.